Hi, my name is Daniel Fitzgerald from IBM, and today I'm going to be giving you a demonstration of IBM's Mobile API Economy suite of products and how they can be used to build a mobile application for a fictional company called A2B Logistics. Founded in 1986, A2B Logistics are a 10 million a year turnover package delivery company. A2B want to replace the outdated handheld devices they provide to their drivers with a new mobile application. The business benefits they hope to achieve from doing this are to reduce device costs by leveraging bring your own device, to create an excellent customer experience, and to improve the efficiency of their drivers by using modern mobile device features such as geolocation to help them find the job easier, offline support so that they can look up a job when they have no network signal, and push notifications so that they're notified of new deliveries in their area. So let's take a look at the different employees of A2B and how they interact with the solution and how they'll use some of the technology which I'm going to talk to you about today. So first it's Gary, and he's a delivery driver. He's going to be using the mobile application that's created. So it's very important for Gary that he has a great user experience so that there's as little friction as possible when he's doing his day-to-day job. It's also really important that the application is reliable so it doesn't get in the way of him delivering packages. The mobile first platform can provide this great user experience and reliability. Next we're going to look at Helen. She's a mobile application developer working for A2B, and she's going to use the mobile first platform foundation to develop the application for Gary, and we're going to look at some of the features and tools which make that easier for her. And then next is Alison. Alison works in operations. As someone who works in operations for A2B, it's her responsibility to make sure that once a solution has been created by Helen, that it works as expected every day. And she's going to use some features of the Mobile API Economy suite to do that. Primarily, she's going to use application distribution, which means that she takes the application developed by Helen and distributes it onto the delivery driver's devices. She's going to use application management, which allows her to control the life cycle of the application from development through to production and to deploying maybe a new version. And she's going to use some operational analytics as well. This will help Alison understand what's happening on a day-to-day basis with the application. Are we seeing lots of crashes? Is there going to be some errors? How can she understand what's actually going on, collect logs, and help diagnose a problem so that the application can work as expected? And then finally, we're going to look at Pete as well. So Pete is the service creator. He's responsible for creating the services which get the data to the application. For example, an API. So we're going to look at how Pete uses API Connect, which is our API management solution, to create APIs, to manage their life cycle, and also how is he going to access different data stores and keep those synchronized with the systems of record. And then finally, we're going to have a look at how we can add some contextual and cognitive services such as outdoor location, SMS and voice, and Watson cognitive services to make the application that little bit more engaging. Now let's take a look at the mobile application. I'm running it in a simulator for the purposes of this demonstration. So the first thing we see is a login screen, and I'm prompted for my username and password. In this instance, we're using a username and password secured against a corporate LDAP, but it's easy to configure the mobile first platform to require things like two-factor authentication, where we have a one-time unique verification code delivered by something like SMS or email, or maybe we want to configure step-up authentication, where no authentication is required at first, but then when a customer wants to access some sensitive information, we require them to log in. So I've logged into the application, and the first thing I see is the 3 jobs that we have to do today. Now we can see that one of the details of each one of these jobs is how far away it is from me right now. So we're using the geolocation on the device to find the current location, and then we're feeding that back to IBM ODM, Decision Server. Now what that does is uses a set of predefined rules to work out how far away each job is from each other, taking into account things like traffic and road distance. So I'm going to choose the first job, which has been prioritized for me because it's very close to where my current location is. And we can see that we have the name of the customer, their postcode and address, as well as the time slot when this delivery is supposed to occur. And we can see that we have a number of packages that need to be delivered. Now we have 3 buttons here as well. Now the first yellow button, Send Customer Notification, will actually send either a SMS message, a push notification, or an email to the customer letting them know that I'm on my way. This is great for the customer experience. No more missed deliveries. And we can see that all of those delivery methods are truly omni-channel as well, and the mobile first platform can power all of those. Secondly, if I get to the property and the customer isn't at home, I can click I'm unable to deliver this package. Now what that will actually do is kick off a business process which has been created in IBM BPM. Now obviously it's important that a proper business process governs what I do as a delivery driver if a package doesn't arrive. So what that will actually do is trigger some actions for other back office staff to process that package when I bring it back to the depot. But luckily David is home, so I'm actually going to confirm the delivery. And I can ask him to write a signature here and go ahead and click finish. So that's the end of the mobile application experience, and I've just shown you a range of the different functionality that can be created using the mobile first platform. Okay, so now we've seen how the mobile application works and what Gary's experience is of using it, and also how it integrates with some of the back office processes at A2B. Let's have a look at how Helen's experience was of developing that application using the tools provided by Mobile First. So I should explain that Mobile First supports the full range of development approaches when it comes to creating mobile applications. Be that from fully native iOS or Android, Windows Phone or BlackBerry application, right the way through to mobile web, and also some interesting approaches in between, such as hybrid application using the open source Apache Cordova project. So for this application, because they wanted to use bring your own device and they needed to deploy it to a range of different platforms such as Android and iOS and Windows Phone, A2B decided to take a hybrid approach to building this application using Apache Cordova. So what you can see here is an Apache Cordova project, and I'd like to point out a few features of this as well. So it's a standard Apache Cordova project. On the left here you can see the project structure. So it's very easy to bring in any existing Apache Cordova projects that you have and use them with the mobile first platform. And of course you can bring in any third-party frameworks that you want to use as well. So here we're using jQuery, and here we're using Ionic as well in the same application. So there's no limit on any frameworks that you can use within Mobile First. And you can see that we've got the Cordova JavaScript file added here as well. And I also like to point out as well that here we're using the Google Maps API. So it's very easy to just quickly add third-party tools, APIs and frameworks to your applications. And what we saw on the final screen when I demonstrated the app was the signature feature. And that's just been added by taking a third-party library called SigPad, and I've just added it to the application here. And then I've just written a little bit of code to leverage that in my application. So that's how you can create a hybrid application using Mobile First. And I'd also just like to point out the command line interface that we have as well. So I'm going to open up a terminal here. Click clear. So the CLI allows you to interact with Mobile First projects. So using the command mfp-dev. And it allows you to do several things. So it allows you to work with applications. So you can push those applications to a mobile server, and you can create new servers And you can create new projects as well. So if you were creating a native application for iOS, you would create a new application in iOS and then just add the SDK using the mfp dev command line there. So we've seen Helen's experience of using mobile first to develop an application, and we've seen how she has access to the full range of development approaches: native, hybrid, mobile, web, and that she can use any tools that she likes that already fit into her workflow, whether that's Xcode or using an IDE like Atom, and that also that she can bring in third-party frameworks and use APIs in that application. We've also seen that there's a command line interface for mobile first. So let's move over to Alison, who works in operations. Let's see what the platform offers for her to allow her to run a seamless service for this mobile application. Okay, so here we are in the operations console. And this is where Alison can manage all of the different mobile applications deployed across A2B. So on the left here we can see that we have the employee application deployed. And we can also see a range of what we call adapters. Now, adapters are little snippets of either Java or JavaScript which allow you to write business logic or integration code to get data that the application needs. So for example, in the demo I showed you the list of jobs which the delivery driver can see. Now those have to come from a database somewhere, so we can actually write that code using a jobs adapter here, which I've created and deployed to the mobile first server. So let's have a look at the different capabilities that are available to manage the employee application. So on the left we can see a breakdown of the different platforms and versions that we have here. So it's great to have visibility of all the different versions of the application that we have. And as we can see, there's just 0.01 deployed for Android and for iOS. So let's have a look at managing the iOS application. Now we can actually change the access to the application. So at the moment it's active, but I could actually disable access to this version of the application. Now you might want to do that, for example, if you find a bug in a version of an application and you want to move everybody up to the latest version. So you can say, here's the URL of the latest version. We could say it's cnn.com. We could say, please upgrade to the latest version. So that's very powerful if you want to force users to upgrade. And another thing you can do with a Cordova cross-platform application is something called direct update. So if you want to force users to move up to a newer version of your application without them having to go to the App Store to do that, you can upload a new version of the application in a zip file here, and that will be triggered the next time the user accesses the application. And I can also enable things like authenticity as well, application authenticity. So we've probably all heard stories about how applications in the App Store are hacked by malicious people, and then those applications contain maybe malicious code or they steal credentials from users. Using application authenticity, we can prevent applications which weren't created by A2B Logistics from ever being able to access any of the valuable corporate resources. And we can configure push notifications in here as well. So the mobile first platform has a unified push notification service, which means that you can create the push notifications code once and it works for both Apple and for Google push credentials. And we can upload our certificate here as well, so we can manage everything to do with push notifications from a single console. That's really powerful. So I mentioned adapters a second ago. So one of the great things about adapters in the latest version of Mobile First is that they're actually described by Swagger. So what does that mean? It means that the resources that are available through that adapter, in this example, a list of employees, are actually available to see in a Swagger editor here. So that means that we can give this URL to Helen, who's our mobile developer, and she can come here and see the data that's available to her to call in her application. So those are the features of the Mobile First Operations console. Now let's take a look at the Analytics console. So out of the box, Mobile First collects lots of operational analytics about what's happening with the mobile applications. So for example, in here we can see mobile application crashes in the last 30 days, and we can change the time filter here that we're seeing. We can also see the number of different sessions on each day. You can see that July the 12th was the most busy day for people using our application. And we can see things like server processing times as well. And all of these things are collected out of the box. Okay, so I've shown you how Helen developed the mobile application using a hybrid approach with Apache Cordova, bringing in components and frameworks from third parties to speed up development. I've also shown you how Alison manages the operational aspects of the application from a central console. She can gain valuable insights from the Analytics console, as well as creating business-level reports. Now the final piece of the puzzle is the API. An application is only as good as its data. To enable Gary to see his list of jobs, A2B need to expose data from a system of record, such as a database. To do this, Pete used API Connect to create, run, secure, and manage APIs that expose A2B's key business data. By creating APIs, Pete has also opened new channels of revenue for A2B. By exposing certain business capabilities, such as ordering a new delivery or checking the status of a parcel, A2B can tap into the lucrative e-commerce delivery market, creating new business. This effect of opening new markets and partnerships is known as the API economy. Let's take a look at how Pete created one of these services. This is the API editor of API Connect. API Connect uses an open source framework called Loopback that helped Pete use model-driven development to create new APIs really quickly. We start by creating a data source. In this case, the delivery jobs are stored in an Oracle database. There is an out-of-the-box connector that means all we need to provide is the host, username, password, and a few other details. Next, we define the model. This corresponds to the different fields in the database, such as address, location, and name. And that's it. Loopback has automatically created a REST API based on the information we gave in the model and has linked into the Oracle data source. Now we can see the API definition. API Connect uses Swagger, an open standard to describe APIs. In the design view, we can see a graphical representation of this Swagger file. We can edit some basic information about the API, look at the protocols it supports, and define what format it accepts and produces, as well as having a look at how it is secured. Here we can see the paths that API Connect created for us based on our jobs model. We can get a list of jobs, create a new job, update a job, etc. We can also switch over to the source view to see the actual Swagger file. API Connect uses a concept called products. A product can be made up of one or more APIs, and each product can have its own visibility, terms of service, and consumption plan. Pete will create a plan for internal apps, business partners and retailers that are tailored to their specific requirements. For example, the internal app's product might not want to be visible to public, but only to authenticated users. And the internal applications may have a plan with more than 200 requests every hour. Pete has finished creating the API, so it's time to publish it and go live. This can be deployed on A2B's own hardware, but Pete wants to take advantage of the speed and flexibility of the cloud. API Connect can publish an API directly to Bluemix, IBM's cloud development platform. We simply click Publish, Add and Manage Targets, Add IBM Bluemix Target, going to select the United Kingdom region, and we're going to select the employee catalogue. Click Next, and we're going to choose a Bluemix application called Employee API. Now, simply by clicking here, we'll publish that application to Bluemix. Now that that's done, we can view our product in the API Connect dashboard. We can see the product state is published. We can turn it on or off, and we can view who is subscribed to it. This is really useful to A2B because they can see which customers are using which APIs. If we turned on approvals, when someone tries to subscribe to an API, it appears here to be approved or rejected. We can also view the developers who are registered to use our APIs, and we can have a look at the different roles they've been assigned. We can also take a look at the subscriptions. Which applications are subscribed to our APIs? API Connect also provides a developer portal that allows developers such as Helen to explore A2B's APIs. API documentation is generated automatically by API Connect. And Helen can browse all the endpoints available to her. Code snippets are provided in some of the most popular languages to make getting started really easy. Once Helen has had a look around, she can subscribe to the plan . So I've just showed you how Pete used API Connect to create, run, secure and manage a new API that provided data for the mobile application. I introduced the idea of the API economy and how A2B can create new revenue channels by exposing their existing business capabilities. And finally, I showed how the life cycle of a service like that can be managed. Overall, I've demonstrated how A2B can rapidly build out a new mobile application, expose business capabilities via APIs, and help to modernize their business. If there is anything in this video that you'd like to explore further, please tweet me at DanielSouthLC or contact your local IBM Hybrid Cloud sales representative. Thank you.